So I played some music last night, and the guys that I play music with are all older than me. I mean, like double my age. It's my dad and two other guys, and they're really cool dudes, but it's like this generational gap because they're literally double my age. I'm 34. They're like 66 to 68. They're there. But I do get to hear some quality dad jokes. So I'm going to offer this one up to Veston, our GG of the day, our guest Grape.
Hello, Veston.
Veston, the question, it revolves around the word butt cheeks.
I'm familiar.
Butt cheeks.
Yeah.
Is it one word, or do you spread them?
I think you have to spread them in this context.
All right. Well, I'm glad we've got his opinion on that.
Nice. Your first thing on the podcast is spreading butt cheeks. How does it feel?
I couldn't be more proud.
You're gonna do good here.
I'm glad. I appreciate this.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dane Holland.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer.
My name is Veston.
And I'm Austin Tiny Zent.
And we are Nerd It Through the Grapevine, the podcast where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture. And welcome to the show, Veston, as our guest Grape, our GG of the day.
Hello.
And Veston is a good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time.
His hair.
Oh.
Yeah, you know it. No. Yeah, boy. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Yes.
The mini button pad of I don't have them labeled.
I thought you knew.
I had no idea.
Apparently, you've only been bald for a short amount of time.
I know.
Charles Xavier joke.
I'm new to this. I want to start this episode off with an apology to a listener and a good friend of ours, Brian, because our last episode was about romances and bromances and relationships, and we didn't mention Samwise and Frodo. We didn't mention them. He texted me. He said, I'm so disappointed. I was like, Marcus wasn't here to insert Lord of the Rings into our conversation.
Did they canonically bang? Because I didn't think that they did.
I think it was in maybe the Silmarillion because I didn't read that one. So that has to be where it is.
Yeah,
so you read the other ones?
No, that one's called the Silmarillion.
Oh.
Hey. This week, The Last of Us has been on my brain and my eyeballs for how many episodes now? Four episodes?
Yes, 4 episodes.
Yes, at the time of this recording. And this show is so good, and it's also a video game, which doesn't happen often, to where you have a good game that also has a good TV show. And I think for me personally, I was hoping that it would be great, but because it's zombie related, I was expecting to possibly lose interest quickly because zombies to me are played out a little bit too much. They've had their time in the sun. There for a second I was like, oh, that'll be a funny joke, but that's vampires. That's not zombies, so there's no joke.
Vampires don't go in the sun.
Not unless you're a Blade. If you're a Blade,
he
you get
was
to do
only
both.
half a vampire.
Right.
Or if you're a Twilight.
Right.
We don't talk about those. They're not real vampires.
Depends on if you ask money.
But these zombies are also mushrooms. They're fungi. The fungus is what caused people to turn into zombies. Yep. It's the type of fungus that can, in real life, control an ant's brain and make it do things, which is insane, but real life. And so this game, this show, it's what if that were to evolve into humans as hosts?
Yeah.
And then you get the zombies, and you follow Joel and Ellie, are the two main characters from the video game, same in the show. You follow them through their story. No spoilers, the show's very new. I just wanted to start off talking about just the feeling behind the show. Veston, have you been watching The Last of Us?
Yeah.
Did you play The Last of Us?
Yes, I did.
So you know more about the situation than any of us.
Oh, really?
Yes, because none of us have played it. So, what are your feelings as far as a translation from the video game to the screen?
In my opinion, because there are changes that happen, but all of them are basically like extra content, extra world building, or changes that just simply de-gamify the plot a little bit, translate it better to TV, or just some narrative switch, right? But none of it so far has been done in a way that I find obtuse at all. It's all very respectful, as opposed to like how the reception of the game's very sequel didn't do as good a job at being respectful to the story as an adaptation is, and it's honestly shocking how good it is.
Yeah,
it's flabbergasting.
That's what I've gotten from the Wolf, which is a forever grape of the show. He played The Last of Us in The Last of Us 1 and 2, two of his favorite video games of all time, and watching the show, I was excited because I was like, I want to hear what someone that has played the game thinks about this, because I don't have that viewpoint. I've watched some playthroughs and I know the big points of the story of what happened, but I don't know the minutia of it all and the in between stuff. So getting to hear him say they've made it better. Like they've only made the story better.
Absolutely.
And because Neil Druckmann, the person that wrote the story to begin with in the video game, is directly involved with the writing of the show.
Absolutely.
So nothing's going to get by him that he's like, no, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And that has made it better. We've talked about in the past how Stephen King doesn't have a very good sense of film.
True.
But he's got a great sense of writing.
Yeah.
So that was
Most
the
of
case.
the time.
Yeah, most of the time. Most of the time.
Yeah.
But that was
It's
a
had a
case
clunker or two.
where the writer, the originator of the content, it was involved with the TV part, and it didn't work out well. But this is something that is working out well. And I haven't been, I think probably House of the Dragon was the last TV show that I've been excited to experience a week in advance. Like as soon as the episode ends, I want more. I need more. And I could only imagine playing the game, because with the game and the way all video game to screen things are, you're experiencing the story as the person in the story, in the video game. You're moving them around. You're seemingly making the decisions. You're not. The game has laid them out for you to make anyway. Like you're not creating anything.
You're making choices given to you.
Right, exactly. But it feels like you're there. It feels like your choices matter in a good story, in a good game. Yeah, compared to some others that just feel like you're following, the breadcrumbs on the floor. But I'd seen someone online talking about after episode maybe 2 of The Last of Us, they were like, I just can't get into it. I was way more into the video game than the show. I don't know what it is. It's not impacting me as much as the show. And I was like, how do you not know why that is? Because you've already experienced it. This isn't new for you. Like you know the story, you know the shockers, you know the cliffhanger, you know where that leads. So it's no surprise. So of course the show's not going to grip you as much in the sense of something new. And also, you've been Joel or Ellie. Like you've been these people in this video game and making these decisions and fighting off these hordes of zombies and stuff. It's going to be different viewing that as opposed to controlling it. And I think as soon as someone can realize that is going to be a fundamental difference, you're not going to understand your feelings towards the content as much. But I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Like I totally get it. Like I understand that, but not knowing why you don't like it, that's the part where I'm like, well, I think you should probably think about that before blasting this show's garbage. It doesn't, it's not the same as the game.
Sure.
Well, my wife, who doesn't
My
wife,
that's the joke.
who does not like scaries,
Right.
my wife, who does not like most video game stuff, loves the show. She loves the show because the story is gripping, the character development is excellent, the look of everything, the CGI work, all the stuff that's doing. They even have practical effects in this. Practical effects. Yes, for practical effects. Like the way that they depict these clickers and these, they're not zombies, but I mean, they're dead, but not dead. They're reanimated. It's crazy. Like it's a different version of stuff that I've seen before in different forms. It's not a virus. It's a fungal infection. It doesn't act the same as a virus. It doesn't act the same as anything you've seen, as I've seen in the past, and it's probably the best rendition of anything that's made it onto, from a video game into a viewing pleasure. Because I can't honestly, because going through this idea of, we need to talk about these things that are going in this genre, that are going into, from video games into movies into television. Like, what's good? Like, The Last of Us stands alone on how good I think it is as far as that stuff goes. Because, the rest of the things that come to mind for me just don't hit like that. And The Last of Us is done well. I think some of the biggest gripes that I see on the internet are also over controversial things in the show that people just are always going to have some kind of nose in the air about. And it's not my place to tell you what you need to think, but it is my job to say, shut up.
Yeah. It's like, see empathy.
Yeah. So this show, it being brand new, and I'm not wanting us to get too into details just so that we don't spoil anything. Moving on from The Last of Us and just to this idea of video games to screen, we've had a doozy of a time with them in the past.
Oh man, there's so many on my list that just are in the burning trash can.
Yes,
they're just living in it.
I mean, there are some really good ones.
Oh yeah,
though.
Tell me some good ones that you, because
One
I
of my
need some
favorites,
brightness.
It wasn't really done by a big budget, but Halo Fall of Reach was awesome.
Was that a fan-made content?
It was
thing?
a fan-made one.
Okay.
But it had the Master Chief, and it was like the prequel to everything, and it was absolutely amazing.
Well, then props to them for making something, because a lot of times fan studios do more justice to characters than what actual studios will do.
Yeah.
So have you got anything else that stands in your brain as a good movie?
That was the first one off the top of my head.
Well, they've actually recently made a Halo show on HBO, and I think it probably already got canceled.
I've heard pretty lukewarm things about it.
It was, for me, it was either lukewarm or hot stinking fecal garbage from a lot of people.
Bad.
I don't know. Lukewarm can be pretty badass sometimes, especially like our favorite wrestler, Lukewarm Steve Williams.
True. Hitman was another really good one.
Hitman was a movie, wasn't it?
That was kind of almost Statham-y.
Yeah. Well, it's like the games, it just was very mission-based. You go in, you do this mission, you neutralize a particular target, and that was it. And in the movie, they actually gave you a little bit of background of who 47 was and where he come from and how he was wrapped up in this whole profession that he was a part of. And it was done very well. So there's two.
Okay.
I think that's it, other than the Super Mario adaptation from video game to cassette tape.
Oh, okay.
That one was also very good.
You had the cassette tape
cassette tape.
Not video cassette tape.
I didn't even know it was a video until you guys.
Okay, so that's perfectly fine with me, because we've rehashed this a few times and it still surprises me every time. Because the Super Mario movie was absolutely hot, stinking fecal garbage. Mind you, it was cool to see the characters for a little bit in some kind of form, but I've watched this movie probably 10 times in my life just trying to find the connectivity at all to the video game.
Maybe you should just closed your eyes and had the same experience that I had, because just on my Goosebumps cassette player, it was amazing.
And so, it's in the same category as like Doom.
Oh yeah, Doom was
sure,
terrible. And wasn't there The Rock was one of the main characters in Doom, right?
Yes, he was. This was like the Doom was around the acting period of like Walking Tall and what was the other one? The Rundown. And so it's like,
Sitting Small.
But they, it was bad. They even had like this first person shooter section in the movie.
Yes, they did.
To be like, kind of reminiscent of Doom. And it was,
it was no good. And you think like with something with Hitman, that character themselves, to me, there doesn't seem to be like a whole lot to their story in the games. Like you said, it's very mission based. You're just this mysterious hitman guy that you get to control and go neutralize targets. So they get to be creative with the world. They're like, okay, well, we can make our own story with this. And that can go one of two ways. Either you've got a really great idea and you use this kind of shell of a character to fill that story with, or you got this great idea that turns out to be absolutely horrible because you couldn't even adhere to the small amount of content that the game already had with the original, works of the character. And I think that's why The Last of Us is so crazy to me, because they have this good story already in the game. And I feel like in so many situations with books to screen, they take this amazing story and butcher it to make their own vision or whatever. And that was the main fear of The Last of Us. It's the very story-based game, and they haven't butchered anything. They've basically given you extended DLC, like as far as the story goes. But then there's things like Mortal Kombat that go back to that Hitman style thing, to where there's not, each character has their own little, storylines or whatever. But the game itself is just punching and kicking each other and doing cool stuff to decapitate one another.
And really cool metal techno.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the soundtrack to Mortal Kombat, it wouldn't feel as much like, it wouldn't be as awesome.
No.
You got to give that original movie credit.
Yeah.
The original movie
one was good.
It
really,
relative. Yeah, you're right.
Looking through the
It's
lens of
relative.
nostalgia and compared to what that horror show was that we had, it was good.
Oh, okay. Even compared to Goro in the Backyard, it was good, and then, especially compared to Annihilation, because Annihilation was the second one, and it was just doo-doo baby.
Yeah.
It was still better than the newest one.
Yeah, because at least you wrecking my barbecue. And the original Mortal Kombat movie, it had Robin Chow in it, and he was an awesome martial arts actor at the time, and he was in a lot of different stuff like that, and he did an amazing Liu Kang. And that original Shang Tsung too, that reach out at you like, Liu, your soul is mine. That's just
Perfect casting.
It was so good.
And the guy that played Raiden.
Now, Christopher Lambert, I think is his name.
I don't know what his name is, but I feel like he did pretty okay.
He did the best he could.
He did the best that he knew how to do.
I liked that soft-spoken, overly powerful Raiden, because the little stuff that Raiden did in Mortal Kombat, the original movie, was also, number one, limited by graphics availability at the time. You're in the early 90s. You're not going to be getting too much. But whenever he's popping on the scene and he's just covered in this electricity and he just looks at this person to stop something bad from happening to him, he doesn't do any of his Raiden moves and get into fighting and stuff, but you get to see just what the God of Thunder's got to offer.
Yes, and every time he was on the scene, dare I say it, it was electrifying.
That was an example of the whole, you don't have much to go on, so let's see what all you can do with it. And like you said, through the lens of nostalgia, that movie was so awesome, because I'd played the shit out of Mortal Kombat on the Genesis, and now you're giving it to me in real life? Yes, this is everything I want. But then now we can look back on it and see the disaster that it all really was. And then they've got this thing to where, of course, we've talked about it a bunch, where they play on nostalgia and they come out with new things that are just remakes of old things that weren't very good in the first place. If you're not going to make it incredible, don't touch it. If you're going to make something else that's just mediocre and you're trying to appeal to the 90s kids that got to enjoy that whenever they were young, it's like with Mortal Kombat, it was a flop in that sense. I don't even know how well it did money-wise.
Not very.
Not very, yeah.
And I'm
on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a no.
I'm kind of excited to see what they can do with the new Mortal Kombat movie had, because the characters in it, there were a few golden spots, because they had that scorpion scene of the samurai style movie, it was almost like old samurai kung fu style movie. That part of it was absolutely
that part was
just
awesome.
Ugh. So if they could have that, and just like we'd mentioned previously on the podcast, combine that style with Predator, And then that's also tying in all the Mortal Kombat franchise stuff because Predator's been in Mortal Kombat and they would actually be able to face off that way. It's just so cool to think about that.
Realistically, if they had just focused that entire movie on just that Scorpio Sub-Zero relationship just back in the day, and you could even bring it a little bit to the present, that would have been amazing. That would have made it just top tier.
Resident Evil as well.
That's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, because you think Resident Evil, and we've played the games. I mean, we've been through the scares, we've been through the awful graphics that we used to get with some Resident Evil. But Mila Jovovich? Is that how you say her name, or is it Mia? Whatever.
I don't know, man. You got me.
Jovovich, last name.
Sure.
But she made bank doing that. I mean, how many movies did Resident Evil spawn? Like, are they more movies than video games, or is it kind of like an equal contender?
Like 5 or 6.
I would say in terms of mainline games, it's probably pretty even.
Yeah, there were a bunch. And
still waiting on The Village. I'll watch that.
On Village? Yeah. Why is that?
Because of the 9-foot tall dummy.
Mommy.
I'm not saying anything about Lady Dimitrescu, but I'm just saying, the story was cool.
9-foot tall Tommy Mommy.
Everybody wants one of those.
Those games are one of those that you're there in the scary element. You're the one walking around corners and seeing something attacking you. And the disconnect there from the game to the screen is going to be immense because they're movies that are scary movies that they don't have video games for them. So it's a different feeling. But if they did have a video game for, I don't know, The Conjuring, is that a good one that you could make a video game out of?
I would absolutely not play the Conjuring video game, but it would be fantastic to have a VR Conjuring video game.
It'd be too spooky, right?
Absolutely, especially because in the Conjuring movie, they play this thing called the knock game, where there's one person blindfolded and they have to find the other people, and they're knocking to find it's like hide and seek with a blindfold on, but you're going around listening to the knocks. And just imagine having to navigate your way around in just like whatever dim light you have, and you're getting like that first person perspective of being behind that blindfold, and you're having to follow these knocks in a VR setting. And it turns out whenever you take off your mask to reveal where that knock was coming from that was right in front of your face, you've got like an open basement door in front of you leading downstairs.
Oh, I hate the sound. I hate it already. My insides hate the whole situation.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Like it would absolutely make a good video game, but only in certain ways.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could adapt just about any horror movie if you give Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro the keys to it. Because PT was the greatest scary thing ever, especially with VR now. Could you imagine playing PT in VR now? Oh my gosh!
I've only seen gameplay of it because the spook gets me too hard, and I can't do it, especially in a video game, to where I get kind of warped into that world and wrapped around it. Marcus, the grape, normally sitting in the chair that you're investing, he's described to us the feeling of playing that game and of constantly going around the same loop of a hallway, but it getting weirder and wackier. Like the way to portray that, I think you would need someone like them to be able to do so, and it still be entertaining by it not being in first person. Because I think in a lot of the horror genre of video games, being in that first person is what makes it the scariest, because you can't have that view outside of your character. And I think a horror game, are there many horror games that have third person?
I mean, the older Resident Evils and Silent Hills were third person,
but like the real scary newer stuff is
it's typically all first person.
When they're really getting into fear, they're like, we don't want you to see what's around you, only in front of you, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And
I'm scared all the time playing Overwatch.
That part, that's a different fear.
I'm absolutely pissing my pants half the time I'm Overwatch. I'm like, I just hit you with a spear. How are you still coming at me?
That's if I die, my team loses, kind of a fear. But Overwatch is one that there are little bits and pieces of lore there. They've even come out with these digital shorts of the characters and some of the storylines that they have as a part of them. And that's something that in that world, we as players, we want more of. We want more of the lore of these characters that we love that we hardly know anything about, but the little bit we do know of their personality, we get attached to them. So Overwatch is one of those that it would make a horrible live action film.
Yeah, too much happening.
But that's where animation comes into play. And we can see what that can do for video game stories, because like Castlevania, for one, Castlevania's anime is so good. Is it anime? I always forget. I don't know if a Japanese studio did it.
You know, honestly, I don't care.
It's in the style of anime.
It's anime stylized.
It's animation. That show is incredible. I didn't even play the games, but it made me want to play the games. And I think that's something that The Last of Us is definitely doing, because sales for that game went through the roof as soon as it came out, and people got a sense of, this is what this world is like. I want to play that, to where they had only heard about it in the past. But animation is a great avenue for video games to be able to almost cheat their way around the whole game to screen thing, because it's closer to the graphics of the game, like being, animation and not having to look real. But I think something like Overwatch, yeah, give me some cool animated stuff. I don't need live action of that. Tiny, what Stephen King book would make a good video game?
Oh boy, that's an interesting one. What kind of video game are we talking? Because that could go a couple different directions.
Right. Well, I mean, because like with the Gunslinger and the Dark Tower, an action-adventure game, would that work?
I was leaning more towards the Talisman.
Okay.
For like a RPG style thing.
I'm not as familiar.
Brief synopsis. Little boy, little as in like teenager, his mom is a B movie star. Like she's like the most prolific one, and she's gotten some rare form of cancer and she's dying. Well, they leave Hollywood, they go to this little resort that's like empty. I wouldn't say it's quite desolate, but nobody really goes there, and they stay there. He meets this kindly older man. He's like a maintenance guy named Speedy, and he learns that there is another world full of doppelgangers. They call them twinners. And so when one dies, typically the other one will die. So his mom, being the queen of the bees, her twinner is the queen of that realm. So he has to go on an epic quest to find the talisman to bring him back to heal both of them.
Cool.
So that one could be really cool.
Yeah.
Plus some of the side characters are just awesome.
Yeah.
Like Wolf, it hurt my heart.
I kind of want to read this Stephen King novel.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into many more details because I don't want to spoil it.
Me.
But Wolf, I mean, that's my boy.
So Talisman would make a good one. I'm trying to think of, like, The Witcher was originally a book turned into video game, turned into show, and also animation. Yeah. So we've gotten a sense with that one. I don't feel like there are a ton where you get book, show, and game all in one with quality. I liked at least the first season, and I liked the second season fine of The Witcher. And I've read I think it's called The Last Wish of The Witcher. That book, it was good, and the video game's great. So like that's a whole ball of good in one, and the anime is
Have
really
you
good.
seen the
animation.
picture of not Thor as...
No. Is it official or is it fan-made?
I seen it.
Official?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Henry Cavill's not going to be Geralt of Rivia anymore. Not Thor will be him.
It'll be not Thor.
The other Hemsworth.
The other Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Liam.
Right.
Ex Cyrus.
Well, and I
What's
think
a Cyrus?
the way, what is this? What is what?
What is a Cyrus?
Ex Cyrus. Oh, he was married to Miley.
I thought it was like some kind of like superhero thing.
Yeah.
Like Cyrus. I've got mind powers.
Actually sounds really cool.
I was just about to say Ex Cyrus definitely has psychic powers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Professor
We
X
need to
is
log
like
that.
I can
Elon
touch
Musk's cousin.
stuff.
Yeah.
I can touch stuff with my mind.
Is that Professor X's full name? Ex Cyrus?
I can touch stuff with my mind. Hey, Tiny, where's your walnut? Mom.
You found it.
Found it.
I think the reason that fans got so upset with what was happening with The Witcher was the fact that they were actually getting something cool and good with Henry Cavill in playing this character, because of how rare it is for us to get a good screen adaptation of a video game, everybody just wanted it to stay good, and it just couldn't. It just slowly started dying away. And that happens in a lot of these transitions from books or games to movies, is the potential at the start is so huge, and a lot of times there's just such a big fall off by the end of it that no one cares anymore. It's like, well, I'd rather just keep what's in my noggin from the original source that I got. And I think I would like to see possibly a Red Dead Redemption as a show or a movie, because there's not a lot of Western content out. And at the same thing with video games, not a lot of Westerns. And this one is such an amazing, huge, expansive story in this large area with a lot of compelling characters that if they took the Neil Druckmann approach of the way they've done The Last of Us, I think it would be a successful show and could possibly revive some sort of Western movie content or show content, because they need something to spark that again.
If they can get the people that did the first season of Westworld to do a Red Dead Redemption show, because I think they captured that Western feel perfectly for modern cinema. And I just think that would go. I think that'd be awesome to see, because Red Dead Redemption was a freaking cool video game.
Yeah.
Was it Red Dead Revolver, the first one, actually?
Yes.
Okay, because that was the only one I played, was Red Dead Revolver. I never played any of the other ones.
Yeah, the first one really didn't have a storyline. Well, it had a storyline, but it wasn't
well, I just
like uber compelling.
Well, yeah, it was like a cowboy shoot 'em up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and I had fun.
Especially
it was still fun, yeah.
Second and third one, because now with the way the second and third games are made, for a AAA game not to have 150 hours of content, a lot of people avoid that full sticker price.
Absolutely.
Even though at $60, if you get 60 hours of content out of it, $1 an hour to be entertained and do something, not bad.
Less than an arcade.
Much less than an arcade.
I haven't played a game that, not including grindy, like collectathon post-game content, that will get anywhere near 60 hours of playtime, though.
Oh, really?
Not really. Like, I mean, even Kingdom Hearts 3, like
that was 15 hours, if
it's
that.
15 to 20 hours if you really wanted to play it. Even after the DLC that cost $40.
Dude, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it.
It was great DLC, but it's not worth $100.
I waited like a person's life to from number 2 to actually get number 3. Really? And number 3 was visually awesome. The work they did with the visuals on it was amazing. The fighting was cool. I was done with the game so quickly. I didn't even. It felt like I didn't even get an hour per year of wait time.
Did you watch the trailers?
No.
Good. Because let me tell you, there's no secrets if you watched the trailers.
Really? It spoiled everything.
Almost every element except for the last 15 minutes of the game was known before release.
Because they left Kingdom Hearts 3 almost feel like an unfinished story to make you have another cliffhanger to go on to the next Kingdom Hearts game. Yeah. And I threw my hands up. I said I waited long enough for you, Square Enix.
Yeah, well, I love Kingdom Hearts, and I want to see it adapted and streamlined, for one. That would be nice to make it have a coherent plot. But speaking of video game adaptations and bad directing, Tetsuya Nomura showed his hand at being a bad director when adapting Final Fantasy VII. Advent Children, I think it's called. I haven't seen it in years, but it is.
I actually enjoyed that movie.
It's a fun movie, but does it do anything for Final Fantasy VII?
Oh no,
I don't know.
No.
I've never played it.
Could you replace every character's character model and have it be just a weird anime 3D movie? Probably.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably.
I liked it.
Tetsuya.
I liked it a lot, but I also loved Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
And there was. I basically just disconnected it from that game and really did make it seem like it was totally different people, like totally different characters.
I loved the redesign. Sure. You know how you're getting this better design of these classic style characters.
Yeah, he's got a great sense of character design.
Now think about this: if you're thinking about video games to go into movies, Disney better be hopping on it. Why don't Disney make a Kingdom Hearts movie?
Didn't been scared of it for like a decade for some reason. There's been multiple canned pilots that
really.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts has had a storyboard made for a Disney cartoon, but it's just throw it away.
All you need is a smooth piano version with some reverb and chorus on a lady's voice singing When you walk away, you won't hear me say, please, oh baby. Because that's all they'll need, and just a few clips of some live action stuff happening, a little bit of Sora, a little bit of Riku, a little bit of here's Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and then you just show the Kingdom Hearts logo, and you'll have one of the most watched video trailers you'll ever have, because...
Even if it's ass.
Yeah.
Even if it's ass, people will watch it.
But honestly, as big as the empire of Disney is and the amount of money they throw into not only video effects, but also property buying, like buying
IP.
up, like intellectual property stuff they spend money on. They already have it for the video game stuff. Just go ahead and put it into live action, because you're going to be satisfying an itch for people in general for other stuff.
Do you want to see a live action Donald Duck, though?
Yeah.
You want to see a live Donald Duck? That would be terrifying.
Because he could do it as good as
Donald,
Sonic the Hedgehog.
yes. Goofy, no.
Because it would... Oh, God.
no.
I didn't think about it. Gosh!
would be a horror show.
Yuck!
I'd rather you kill me than we ever have to see a live action Goofy.
No, but what they would be, they wouldn't be live action, and they would most likely look like the Pikachu did on Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
Another good
version
of a video game to movie, only in basically name and idea behind Pikachu. That was it. I don't think it followed any game storyline.
No, but it had Pokemon.
Yeah.
It was officially licensed. They were allowed to use the Pokemon in their own storytelling for whatever they'd be doing.
Yeah.
Were they chasing down missing Pocket Men?
I don't remember
Honestly,
the plot.
don't remember the plot, Tiny.
Because it realistically, now I know nothing about it, but in my mind, the only thing that makes sense is there's disappearances of these other Pocket Men because people are capturing them to force them to fight in gladiatorial style events. And Pikachu is trying to figure out where blobby dude with the gassy stuff went, because he disappeared.
Blobby dude with gassy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know Pocket Men.
Ghastly? No, not
Sure.
not Ghastly.
He looks like a moon with farting zits.
That's a moon with farting zits. Does he have one head or three heads?
One head.
Coughing.
That's coughing. Yeah. That's probably who you're
Get
thinking
him a
about.
cough drop.
Does he look almost like the Funk from the Mighty Boosh, the old Greg videos? You know, the Funk, it's a living creature. You know what I'm talking about?
It's been a long time, but maybe.
That's what it kind of looks like.
Your
Ever done Babish
idea,
with you before?
your idea for that movie, maybe it was the plot. I don't
I don't
remember
know.
at all. I remember being entertained.
Yeah.
That was it.
Ryan Reynolds was Pikachu. There we go. We sold the movie. There we
So
go.
he
There's
just,
your
all
millions.
he had to say was like Pikachu.
No, he could talk. He's the one that could talk.
I thought they could only say their names.
That's what the main point of the story was half the time.
Yeah.
There's many weird adaptations from games to other media. They did a Fallout TTRPG. Apparently, it is not great.
Really?
Yeah, like the mechanics are not good, but the idea is awesome.
Yeah,
if you
that's so
ask me,
good.
that's such a cool setting in which to put things.
The game itself has like where you put stat points into different attributes.
Yeah.
Like if you just put that on the paper.
Yeah, how could you mess that up?
I don't know.
Apparently, they managed to do so.
Wow. And I feel like I've seen other. Well, I mean, Warcraft, for instance, World of Warcraft is one of the biggest games ever made. One of the most played games ever. One of the most money-making games ever until Fortnite. But the Warcraft movie was awful. Like I don't understand why they wanted to do it in the first place.
The poster looked cool.
Poster looked really cool. Some of the character design looked really cool.
The merchandise from the movie was cool. They released full steel replicas of the swords from the movie.
What?
Like
That's cool.
even like this giant two-handed claymore style sword that the main character had is like his, I don't know, his almost like Excalibur style sword. They've got a replica of that. I saw it on an episode of Pawn Stars. Chumley knew all about it.
Oh, okay, good.
He definitely
I was
didn't.
wondering who the expert was on that situation.
He definitely didn't read Wikipedia before he got on
Of
camera.
course, it would have been Chumley.
But the World of Warcraft is a game to where every player has such a different experience with it because of building your character a different way and exploring different areas at different times. And besides the overarching story, which players can either, take place in or just say, screw it, I'm going to go off and do my own little grindy thing. that's such a strange world to say, follow this one thing in this one story of this one character and feel like you're in the World of Warcraft, where it's like, this doesn't feel like, this is none of my characters. It's like, I have 5 different characters at level 80, and this is like none of them. And you can't capture someone that has played the game with a movie like that.
Yeah.
And they didn't even capture people that don't play the game.
Capturing people is highly illegal.
It is, but if you're a pocket man, then it's okay.
Truth.
And there was another set of video games that were very similar to the World of Warcraft style platforms, which was League of Legends and then Arcane.
Ooh, so good.
Arcane from League of Legends, so good.
So much better than the video game. Video game, boring as hell. I tried.
And then Cyberpunk,
Agreed.
the anime, based off of Cyberpunk, the video game.
I did hear that was good.
So good.
Well, the game,
So good.
I played it and I enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Game's great, too.
I got it a month ago.
So you got it when it's good.
So I got it. I didn't have to deal with the before times.
I still haven't played it.
No, I took a long enough gap. I got it at launch. Big mistake.
Yep.
So I tried playing it then, didn't touch it after my first sitting with it after like 3 hours of play. And by the time I came back, it was the version Tiny got to play, which was a good game.
It was.
And they made the Edge Runners, the Cyberpunk anime, they made it so that way they could tell everybody, hey guys, it's actually really good. We did a good job. It just took us longer than we thought it would. And we finally made a good video game. Will you please come play the video game
And
again?
maybe you shouldn't have released it until it was done.
Exactly.
They should
Stop giving out crap.
They should do that exact same thing and make a television show for For Honor.
Oh, for
No.
us.
They
Still
need
bad.
just to have the.
Still bad.
Just
There's
get-
nothing good about that game.
Just give me the battles on
No
screen
one wants that.
because it's on Battle Pass
Look,
now.
you've already had that. You watch Deadliest Warrior.
Oh,
we
you're-
don't need anything else out of that.
That's pretty close.
Shit,
though.
you're right.
It
That's
really
as
is.
close as we
but
need.
you know, in For Honor, they've actually they've got it released on Game Pass now, so you can get For Honor on Game Pass, and it says for Xbox Series S and X on the bottom it says now works, and For Honor, with one of those like supermarket big bubble tags on it that look like stars. It says now in working order.
That's awesome.
I think the main game for me that I would love to see adapted to either movie or show is Mass Effect. And that is a game where your decisions make changes within the world, but by the end of it, it didn't really matter. You just got to pick the same of 3 choices no matter what you did throughout the game. But that game has compelling enough characters and a sci-fi storyline that is so cool that I think they could nail it as a sci-fi show if they didn't change much. Just take the game, put it on the screen, and let people watch it. Because in a game that large that takes place over 3, I'm not counting Andromeda, 4 games, there's so much content there that if you're wanting to get into it and really get into it the way I did, because there's also books, 3, I'm not counting the 4th one with 4, it's a huge world. And it's amazing, and it was so cool to get into. But if I was like, you really need to get into the Mass Effect world, are you going to read 3 books and play 3 games?
I'm sorry, I zoned out. You just said something about reading. I
Reading
stopped
books.
listening.
See, you're
All
gone.
right, I'm sorry.
But if you knew how much I love Mass Effect, which a lot of people know, at least if they've never played it, how many people actually enjoy that and how big of a success the game was. If there was a show about it, that's a cool way to get to experience it without having to put so many hours into it through the game.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not going to read a book. I mean, if I'm going to read a book, the book's going to probably teach me how to do something. It's
Well, it's
then
been
there's
established
YouTube.
that you can't read, so
That's true. You said it yourself.
you did say it yourself.
that was in a vision that I couldn't read. That wasn't that I actually couldn't read. It was in a
Okay.
fake conversation based on anxiety that I had with somebody walking down the road.
So you lied.
Do you not remember the story, Tiny?
I just remember you saying, "I can't read,"
Pause.
and then there was a breath.
Well, fine. I'll talk about it on our Discord.
But you would watch it.
Yes, I would much rather watch something than consume it with my eyeballs in a verbal context, even though I am going to watch it with subtitles on, so I am kind of reading
You
at
are
the
reading.
same time.
You really are.
So, yeah. So it's like I'm reading and also watching. It's like a pop-out book.
Double dip.
But with The Last of Us, back to it, like it's something I'm still never probably going to play it. just because it's a lot and it can be scary at times, and it's just not my jam as far as a game goes. The story itself, super into it. And I'm so glad that there is a show that I can now experience at least a part of how people felt when playing the game, as far as getting attached to these characters in this world. And it's super cool that that avenue is out there for me to be entertained by.
And Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic, it's so good.
Sonic the Hedgehog movies? I mean,
good.
Does it follow along with the storyline from a game? No, because they don't exist.
They don't make sense.
They're side scrollers.
Yeah.
You're going to be scrolling through the sides, you're running through levels, you're collecting coins, you're hitting trolls, and you're getting your coins expelled from you, and you got to collect them all again. Okay, cool, that's the game. In Sonic, he's a character. He's a person. He's got feelings. He also has an arch nemesis that's in a different film with Chip and Dale the Rescue Rangers that he has scary teeth, and he's the original design for. They call him Ugly Sonic.
Oh, the one that they tried to make and give people, but the people said no, thank you.
Yeah,
and they changed the design completely. Yeah.
I want to say that was a hoax. I
Me
want to
too.
say there's no way that they designed Sonic to look that bad and thought nobody would care.
They gave him calf muscles. Like
Yes, they
somebody
did.
made an intentional decision to give him human anatomy for his legs.
You know they gave him toes
I mean,
too.
look,
You know they wanted to show you
With
Sonic's
as much
toes.
running as that boy does, you know he gonna have crazy calf muscles.
It'd be weird.
But he runs quickly, but also he runs a lot and runs everywhere. So he's like a marathon runner, and their legs are scrawny.
Well, he also does that tumbly bit.
Yeah, that's true.
And the sound design for the movie and taking that from the game directly and putting it into the movie, that nostalgia effect on my brain cannot be compared to most things, because just the sound of the rings getting collected or being knocked away, or his spin, the sound of his spin, like it's just so good. And I didn't think it was going to be any good when it first came out.
You watched it just because you love Sonic.
I love Sonic. And that's also why I didn't watch it when it first came out, because I was nervous.
Literally same.
But then when it came out and I waited for people to tell me this is actually pretty fun, I watched it. And then I watched the second one as soon as it came out of theaters, because I don't really go to the theater anymore. And I was even more thrilled with the second one than the first.
It was really good.
Because having Idris Elba play Knuckles is so good.
I'll say what, I watched the trailer and I heard his voice for the first time. I was like, finally a good on-screen depiction of Knuckles that doesn't make him sound like an idiot.
Yes. He's just a meathead, basically. And just that storyline. And they're going to make another one. They've got to make another one, right? I think they already signed up for it.
Yeah, they left the second one on a cliffhanger, with that little, Marvel style after credit scene of the well, I can spoil it, can I? Shadow.
Was it? Yeah.
Spoilers.
Oh, no.
Oh no, because I'm totally
nobody
gonna
expected
watch it.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got onto this, because in preparation for this, I watched each of the Sonic cartoons available on Netflix's first episodes in order, and it's actually like whiplash jarring how much the character and the IP has evolved from 92 to now.
Yeah.
Because in 92, it's like Saturday morning cartoon. He's saying chili dogs, and
He's almost like Bart Simpson with super speed.
honestly, yeah, and
Like totally radical, dude.
yeah, and he can do no wrong. He's never in any peril whatsoever. Unfortunately, Sonic Underground is not available on Netflix. I grew up with a DVD of that one, so I was kind of bummed out. But the next one is Sonic X, the anime, which is just atrocious, to be honest. Everything about it, the theme song makes me want to die, even though when I was 8, it was perfect. It was everything I wanted out of TV.
You just had me on the edge of my seat when you said it was just, and I was hoping you were going to say incredible, because I was like, after this ends, I'm going to watch it.
No, it's
and
awful.
I'm not gonna.
Next in line is Sonic Boom, which I literally just stopped watching halfway through. It played on my TV until the episode was over, but I don't know what happened. All of the characters are some level of dumb, and it's just there doesn't feel like any attempt to really be. And I know it's based on a spin-off game, but still, it's so weird.
And the game was not very good.
The game was unfinished, let alone
it was
a bad
so
plot.
broken.
And then Sonic Prime is the newest one.
I haven't watched it yet. Tell me.
Produced by Netflix. It has a lot of promise. Its first episode is basically the same-ish as Sonic X's first episode, in that they just, like, the very first, like, for a few frames is essentially the same plot, but the way they're handling character interaction seems a little better, and there's a lot more reference to more game-like elements, like rings are actually in a line throughout the world, and they're not like on Earth necessarily, but they're not really in Green Hill type thing. So it's trying to modernize it, and they have sort of edgy designs, kind of like the 2005 stuff, but you know, it seems to be doing a faithful job.
Because a lot of the older animations from the 90s for the video games that were out at the time weren't bad shows. I mean, the Super Mario Brothers television show was not a bad show. It was entertaining, from what I remember. There was a Mega Man show that was also really cool. It was actually more anime style almost.
I think I watched that as a kid. Dude, I think I liked it.
It has such a cool theme song. He's a fighting robot, Mega Man. It was
Astro
awesome.
Boy as well had an anime that was good too. The anime connection to at least Japanese-based games, a lot of times they stick to the source material because like they have a lot of pride in the stuff that they make that goes out into the world.
I mean, look at the Persona animes.
Oh yeah,
supposedly basically like 1-to-1 perfect translations of that kind of game to an anime.
See, I would rather watch the anime than play those games. Just
100%.
There's so much in those games, and it's like, I don't want to dedicate that many hours to that, but I want the story.
And animes do a lot of stuff with different games, even like phone games, mobile games, like Grand Blue Saga. There was like a phone RPG called Grand Blue, and Grand Blue is an anime, and I've watched a lot of it, and it's entertaining because it translates well, you know, from these different styles of. I think it's like a card draw style game, but it's got all these characters that are introduced in it. Then you get their little backstories and their descriptions and stuff on the cards. You get to know about them and stuff. But they introduce these people in the show as well, and it's the same as it was in the game as far as like their descriptions and everything and how they fit.
Gotcha.
So, and they come in useful in the same kind of situations to where you're wishing you had a ranged character, and oh my god, and all of a sudden the archer shows up, you know, stuff like that.
Do you guys think it's business wise, I hate it, but do you think it's a good thing for the content whenever they make the movie or the show to sell the game more?
Only if it turns out very good.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, because I hate when it's a cash grab just to get the name all over merchandise for film and, you know, on big billboards and stuff for the movie to bring people to the game. But whenever it's good, like Edge Runners, that was a situation to where they really wanted people to give them another chance in the game because they did come out with a stinker to start off with. It just wasn't finished. It wasn't done, and they gave it to us anyway. And then coming out with that anime, it brought people back to the game, which I liked that because now this good game can get even more support for it and more people can enjoy it, an actual good product, even though they screwed up to begin with. And in film, if they make a stinker, it's done. There's no going back and giving you DLC or patches that fix the problems. It's done. It's over with.
George Lucas.
And if you if you make a bad, like, I don't know if they were going to do, let's say Super Mario 1, 2, and 3, the games. So if they were going to take those and make the storylines in those, which it doesn't really exist, but the levels do, and they planned on making a 1, 2, and 3, if the first one is hot, stinking, fecal garbage, there go the plans for 2 and 3. Yep. It's done. But in a video game, you can kind of redeem yourself over time. It's just whenever you put that much money into film and it fails, you're done for it. And you got to wait another 10, 15 years before it's like, okay, we're going to try again. Because when did the Super Mario movie came out? I don't even remember. Early 90s?
92, I think.
That early?
We can sour grape me later on if we
fine.
need to.
I'll say you're at least close, right?
Yeah, definitely close.
I think it was 92. Oh, man, I hope I'm right. God!
But it's been 30 years since that movie, or around that long. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. And there's been enough time that I've been able to get excited, but it's also not live action.
Well, I feel like it's kind of they're trying to bring Mario back because Mario's become basically irrelevant. Like, who plays Mario anymore? When was the last time you really saw something cool that was Mario?
Odyssey. Odyssey is the best one ever made.
You're all wrong.
Wait, does Mario Kart?
Mario 64.
Does Mario Kart and Mario Party not count?
They do not count.
What about Mario and Rabbids? Because that
I'm
shit's
talking
awesome.
about
It's
a
really
just
good.
regular meatball and spaghetti sauce, Super Mario, jumping on mushroom guys,
Like a
saving
side-scroller
Princess
style?
Peach. It don't have to be side scroller. Like Mario 64 wasn't side scroller, and it was amazing.
I'm going to stir the pot for our listeners out there because I know somebody's going to disagree heavily with this, but Super Mario Sunshine was a badass game.
It was great.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that.
People poop on it all the time on the
it
internet,
was
but that's
good.
all the internet's good for is just people pooping on stuff.
Clearly, they should because I've
.com.
never even heard of this.
It's a very good game. You can't. Good luck finding an original copy now.
Yeah, Super Mario Sunshine was a GameCube game that had like Mario going around on this island tropical setting, and he was having to wash away all this like dark ink, like bad guy stuff that was everywhere.
Yeah.
And he would have to go like absorb water. He was carrying this water tank, and you'd have to like hose off everything. It was like Pressure Washer Simulator with Mario as your pilot.
Well, people didn't like it because it wasn't just basic Mario. Like it was it felt like one of their first attempts at making Mario more than just the guy that jumps on stuff. Like he's got cool jetpacks now with water in it and stuff. But they also made like the Mario RPGs and things that had a lot of hours of gameplay in those, which were turn-based RPG fighters with Mario and the gang.
Apparently, they're very competent RPGs as well.
Yeah, they're really good, and they actually have a storyline as opposed to Princess Peach has been captured. She's in another castle. Go find Bowser, go fight him, go get Princess Peach. That was the extent of the storyline for the early games, and then with the RPG, they were able to go, hey, we actually have more for Mario, like story-wise, and meeting interesting characters and doing a lot of neat stuff with people, and he has friends, and they gave it to us in that form, which was really cool. And with this new movie coming out with Super Mario, it's animated, so they have a much easier time there convincing people to enjoy it as opposed to making a live-action Mario, which that should have never even been a thought on anyone's mind. But this is going to be, I think, really good, like even from a casting perspective and just the studio behind it and the way it looks. Like, I hope it's good.
I got the one line that I needed to get me excited for the movie because I am a trailer-free champion. If I do plan on watching something, and I don't want to have anything spoiled plot-wise for me. But for this one, I don't care about it in that way. I just want to see it because how's it going to look? How are things going to flow in it? And in the trailer, you got to see a little Mario Kart scene. Where they're actually in their Mario Kart stuff, and you get to see a sideways car bump, fist in the air, Mario, wahoo!
Yeah.
And I got goosies,
Yeah.
and I said, all right, I'm going to watch this when it comes on TV.
Isn't it ridiculous that moment, just wahoo!
Yeah.
Like, and turning sideways in a car did give you that feeling of
Here we are.
excitement.
Yep.
Like it's in, and it's a situation where you're just going to be watching Mario do his thing. You're
Yeah.
not going to be Mario doing his thing.
Well,
But it's exciting that way.
My celebrity doppelganger is also voicing Bowser, so
Jack Black.
I would say I was 100% sold upon hearing that was who
Yes.
was casted to play Bowser.
Me too.
and
it sounds incredible.
He's so good.
yeah.
He's so
But
good at it.
this could set up, if they're wanting to go with the whole multiversal thing, like with Marvel, the way they've done over everything. And I don't know, that's just what IPs do now. It's like, let's make a multiverse so we can make as much content as humanly possible. We've already got Sonic. And then now that we're getting this Mario, and I think, because I watched the trailer too, because I don't care about the plot. I just want to be entertained. And I was like, I want to see what this looks like. A Super Mario or a Super Smash Brothers type little fight scene looks like it takes place. And if they wanted to make a Super Smash Brothers universe, they totally could.
Oh, man.
And blending these types of animation even together could possibly work. Like throwing Sonic that we have from the movies into that Mario universe, it would stand out for the fact that he is more three-dimensional than them. But I think it could work.
That would work so well because, I mean, there's a Zelda movie in the works.
I wonder how that's going to go.
I mean, they've had...
Interesting.
It just depends on what kind of storyline they're going to go with. The success of Zelda in the most recent games is just absolutely skyrocketed the franchise. So for them to capitalize on the skyrocketing of the franchise and making a movie is not a surprise. How well the movie does is going to be, of course, up to the movie. So hopefully it's awesome because having stuff like that could tie into this connective universe. I mean, you've got so many characters within Smash Brothers now that they can all have movies based on what they've got going on, especially if they're all in that same art style like the Super Mario movie's about to be. If you can make it in this like more game styled put your time into it the way that just what I've seen from the Super Mario movie that's coming out. I mean, the graphics are great as far as seeing all the interactions of everything happening around you. There's nothing that looks like you see in the video games where you've got the people that are stationary holding the signs, it's not none of that. Like everything's free flowing and moving well. Just having that in like, say, I don't know, Street Fighter, like a movie adaptation of that in that art style, or even maybe giving Pokemon another go. But Pokemon might already work, just because they've had Detective Pikachu look like that. They might be able to just bring that style over into it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it really could, because that would work with the Sonic style too.
Yeah,
like those are very similar to one another. And there's so many characters now in Super Smash Brothers. Like in the most recent one. There's so many characters.
I love it.
There's so many. And if they made the universe work, then even characters they bring into a Super Smash Brothers movie could span off into their own things. And we could get a really cool renaissance of video game to movie success if they take lessons from what's happening with The Last of Us.
Yes, absolutely.
And with Sonic, like honestly, because Sonic has been a success. Like it's done enough to already be working on a third movie. And that's crazy to think that they've had that much success with a video game to a movie. You mentioned Link and having a Zelda movie. It made me think of like Link as a character. So Link, of course, will be the main character in the movie as well as Zelda. But
so Link's the princess, right?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Why would the main character be named something other than the title of the game?
That's right.
It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the when you play Link himself doesn't really have much of a story for them, like other than either getting their memory erased from being forced into a different time, but all the character development really happens with the other characters surrounding Link. So whenever we get this on-screen adaptation, what Link are we going to get? Are we going to get a Link that's more of a shell that we're just seeing all this cool stuff happen around them? And is that going to be upsetting? Because you're going to be like, I don't even like the main character. They're hollow. Like they don't have much going on with them. Everything's happening around them. Or is that going to be a good thing because it gives you a chance to have all these other characters to be interested in? Because in the Rings of Power, I don't give a shit about the main character. Like, she just seems so vacant of anything that matters to me. And I don't want that feeling to happen also with Link.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, but my connection to the character, it doesn't go past, like, Ocarina of Time. Like, just my playing of the, I don't know.
The Ocarina?
Ocarina, that one, yeah. Past that, I didn't play. I didn't play any of the ones past that, so my connection to the character only stems to that. So it's just loose story, and the character design. So for me, the only thing that I'd be looking forward to, I think, would be like, and I'm hoping I think it's from that game, but it's a little blue blob fairy. Listen!
Oh, gosh.
Eevee. Oh, Navi, you're right.
Listen!
They could throw it in there. Yeah, I don't know what version of Link they're going to use for this either, because there have been a lot of different ones.
Probably the one with the pointy ears.
Because they don't all interconnect, right?
No. Oh, I'm pretty sure there's 3 different timelines at least, and none of them converge, but they all stem from one singular timeline or something like that.
And then we can all collectively like hang ourselves whenever Imagine Dragons covers the theme song.
I've literally been laughed at. As complaining about being a Kingdom Hearts fan and it's a bad story, badly laid out story, and Zelda fans are just like, okay,
nothing.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
They were born in the darkness. You were
Yes,
just raised by it.
for real. So I don't know. I would like to see a movie or a TV show even that is just the hero's journey that focuses more on cinematography and set design and aesthetics than the dialogue of the main character, because that's kind of the Zelda formula. It's just a hero's journey, just like Mario most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some existential threat, whether it be a giant moon grinning at your death or the same guy over and over again for some reason.
Ganondorf!
Yeah.
Or
overpowered
Ganon
Smash Bros. Characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see them try to tackle a minimal dialogue video game adaptation.
Yeah, because Link doesn't have much to say.
No,
ever.
Rarely.
Everything's always getting said to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what a cool way to tell a story would, in my opinion,
What-
if you could manage to do it. I don't know who has the talent to manage to pull this off. But.
Well, and that's a way to connect the player to the character. The character isn't saying something either in a voice or in words that you wouldn't use. It's saying nothing. So you feel more like the character because you're not able to say the thing to this person. They can just read the look on the character's face. Absolutely. And I think that's a great method of getting someone connected to a character in the sense of, I am this character. There are other characters that you play as that have a lot of personality, and that's another good thing in the same spectrum because you're getting to control this character that you find interesting. So, but it's that part where they don't go all the way for one of those, and they just meet somewhere kind of in the middle. That you don't have a character that you want to control because they're interesting, nor do you feel like you are the character. And I think if they do that with these films and these adaptations, if you do that middle ground of they're either getting everything happen to them and you're getting to enjoy the world around you, like you said, or this is a compelling character, I want to see what happens to them next, you got to go hard or it's going to fail.
And you got to have correct casting too, because getting a character that's going to be able to portray somebody like Link, that's got that swiftness and the kind of it's got to be somebody that fits the role, like
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh. No,
that was
Jeff
my
Bridges.
first thought too.
Or Jeff Bridges.
I was going to say Dave Bautista.
As Link,
Yeah.
give me that. Give me that all day.
Dave Bautista as Link. Could
Yes.
you- God. Oh man. And Martin Short as Ganondorf.
Although realistically, Martin Short could be that the impish guy with the weird hat. What's his name?
Link.
Ooh, no, that that is him too.
I mean,
the guy that rides the balloon in Smash Bros.
The weird
Tinkle, I think his
Tinkle.
name is.
Huh?
Tinkle.
Martin Short could definitely play him. That would be perfect
Who
casting.
plays the Deku Tree, though? Would that be Sam Jackson?
No, it'd be
That'd be really good.
Willem Dafoe could play the Deku Tree.
Have Willem Dafoe play every character.
Can Helena
Pull a Mike Myers.
Can Helena Bonham Carter play Zelda?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Imagine a Tim Burton adaptation of
A
Legend of
Tim
Zelda.
Burton Zelda? That would actually be pretty funky.
I'm into it.
Oh
I
my
want
gosh.
it.
I would do that.
Tim Burton presents Zelda.
Yeah, man.
Tim Burton could even make a good Nerd Through the Grapevine adaptation into film, I think.
Yeah,
honestly.
It could be really good.
just
I want
living-
claymation though, if it were us.
Living in our nonsense.
Yeah, stop motion claymation.
Yeah,
Yeah, because if anything, we need to make sure that people know how labor-intensive podcasting is.
absolutely.
So if you're gonna capture us in a movie form, it's got to be stop motion.
Definitely a 1-to-1 translation.
Yes. That would be claymation, and this is audiomation. And thank you for listening to the audiomation of our show on Spotify and iTunes and Good Pods and Castbox and blah, blah, blah. And I know I hate that every episode has to come to an end, but here it is. And you've got to put 5 stars on there because once we end this episode, if we don't get 5 stars, who knows if the next one's going to roll around. So if you could give 5 stars and tell everybody why you love us or hate us, either way, don't care. Give 5 stars and then go buy a t-shirt. There's links. All you got to do is scroll down and click with your finger or a mouse and do that and buy things.
Yeah, and if you want to talk to us a little bit, get on our Facebook, our Instagram, or our Twitter by looking up Nerd Grapevine. And you'll be able to talk to us. You'll be able to see what we post on there content-wise. We've been doing some video content here recently. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun to see how funny we are looking-wise.
Yeah.
So it's pretty neat. Get on there. We can talk a little bit. We can also talk about how those 5 stars can also equal a victory in Mario Party. Just because that's true, unless you had this other person that had like 3 stars and then they got like 3 bonus stars. That's one of those dumb things that happens sometimes. But that that's not something that we can prevent. But what we can prevent is going broke, because you, the good listeners, can contribute to our podcast by getting on Patreon, looking up Nerd Grapevine, donating a little bit of money to the cause, and getting a shiny holographic Nerded Through the Grapevine sticker, as well as unlocking content that other people have not unlocked, like some Grapevine After Dark. Who knows? We're doing video now. We might really get into doing some video.
And speaking of the video that we are doing and like supporting people, my friend Nate Wheeler designed this the sweatshirt that I've been wearing in the video that some of you will see. And his website, wheelersworksdesign.com, has this dope sweatshirt that I'm wearing right now. And he's a great designer and a really good dude. So if you see this shirt and you go, oh man, I love that, go on his website and go get it. Just go buy that. Wear our t-shirt underneath Nate's sweatshirt.
Yes.
And you'll just do everyone a solid.
And we've got Nerd It Through the Grapevine shirts that we can, display for you and everything else as well. We got those available, of course, on the Redbubble and the Teespring and all that. But we can also do some pre-orders if you ever want to order some stuff that might not be on there. I mean, Patreon's a great thing. There's so many options on there, just as long as you're, contributing and keeping up with it. And and if you don't, and I'm just talking to dead air, that's fine. I'm used to it. My entire childhood was kind of spent that way because I was hyperactive and I just kind of kept rambling on, and that caused people around me to have a lot of...
Using the power of math, we have determined, and by we, I mean scientists that are smarter than me, have determined that 1 horsepower equals 131 duck power.
But what is that in Screaming Eagles? We got to go back
to that's where the Discord lies.
Yeah.
Look in our description of the show. You will find a link that will take you to our Discord channel. I run that. It's a happy, slappy, fun time. We're playing a TTRPG right now. We're finishing up a short run D&D 5e campaign, and we'll be moving on to something later. So when that comes, get ready to sign up. It'll be a good time, and we'll all have a good time.
Good time.
Good time,
Can I
baby.
say it one more time? It's a good time.
G to the O, O to the D, T to the I, the M and the E. Good time.
Yeah. Having a good time. But we're on there live, uncut, uncensored, and irrevocably circumcised. And Austin, I'm proud you said that last week.
I tried.
You did a good job.
We almost got it.
The Austins have to watch out for each other.
We got to stick together. You can also find us on YouTube. I'm not sure if we said that yet or not.
No, we didn't. But
I kind of spaced for a sec.
Just look at Nerd Grapevine.
Yeah.
We play
Look
video
on
games.
there,
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff.
It's great. And there's also this thing that we do to where it comes to the end of the episode, and we've got to figure out the question that's been burning in everyone's minds for the entire week. Hey, Veston, when life gives you grapes,
I eat them.
And then what? And then what happens?
And I feel very pressured.
to do what?
What happens when you eat your grapes?
Yeah.
Anything happen when you eat your grapes? Or are they just normal grapes? It doesn't matter because they'll eventually come out of your butt. They're going to end up there one way or
Vestons aren't
another.
going in. They're coming out.
And then we're going to put them back in.
Oh, so they are going back in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's a
I'm so
cycle.
sorry.
Cycle of grapes.